This one may sound a little bit weird, but it works a treat, and that's getting more sales by educating your customers. Now, what do I mean by that? Essentially, it's that better informed customers actually make better buying decisions. And nowadays, most customers will go out and research. You probably do it yourself. If you're going away, you might use TripAdvisor or use them for a restaurant or something like that. If you're buying something from Amazon, reasonable chance you'll read the reviews of it and take it with a pinch of salt if they've got all positive reviews, because you're almost always looking for a negative, because there's always a negative person somewhere. But if it's got about 95% positive reviews, so 4.5 stars, something like that, you're probably happy. And quite often even drawing the attention to that, to drawbacks, helps people make a sale, because they think, okay, they're being honest. But educating your customers can go in lots of different ways. You can do a video. If your product lends itself or your service lends itself to that, you can do a video. If it's a bit like this one, you can do kind of a slideshow. I'm cheating here, I'm not even doing a slideshow really, it's just a Word document, and I'll pause between when these bullet points go up. I'll just pause and type the next one in, just as I'm about to do. And that's the second point in this, as you didn't see me typing that because it was just copy and paste while it was paused. But if you don't tell people, someone else will. There's thousands upon thousands of videos on places like YouTube. There's self-help articles all over the place on near enough every subject, from almost from turning on a computer, there's probably one on that, not search for it, right the way through to some quite scarily complicated stuff and all points in between. And the trick, if it is a trick, is to be that go-to person so that you're helpful, and when they suddenly find that, yeah, you've done it 100 times before or 1,000 times before, so it's easy and it's second nature, and they find that what takes you 5 minutes is going to take them an hour, who are they going to come to? The person that showed them, because it's not your fault they're slow, and slow in the nicest possible way. It's they blame themselves to an extent, or they realise that actually, yeah, it's a bit like a magician. It's easy when you know how, but once you know the magic behind the trick, that's fine. But you don't want to spend the hours and hours and hours learning it. And the other really nice point with educated customers is actually often less hassle. They'll ask you informed decisions rather than how do I turn the computer on type decisions or questions. So they're actually better customers. And if you go to, there's a book I've just started reading actually, but it's almost unputdownable, and it's called Utility, and I'll put a link below this video to at least the UK version on Amazon. And it really is good. It's all about how lots and lots of companies are actually giving customers every single piece of information they could possibly want, and what they're finding is that, contrary to what you might think, they're actually getting more customers because they're being helpful, and the customers they're closing faster. There's one in the foreword, you can see there, forward by a guy called Marcus Sheridan. He was saying that when his company started doing this, they were almost going bust, and within a very short space of time they were selling swimming pools at the height of the recession. Not the easiest product to sell. As in, we'll come out and we'll do your swimming pool. People were having struggle getting finance. People were thinking, well, actually, it's not my top priority. And what they were finding is that they actually closed 8 out of 10 customers once they started giving them all the information, because the customers were actually coming to them with basically buying questions rather than kicking the tires type questions. So they found that their sales pitch was less when they went out to a customer, because the customer knew all the answers. They'd researched, apparently on average, 30 pages of information on their site before they even came to them to ask for a quote or anything else. So don't be afraid of this. It's actually the way the web's going, and it really is worth doing. That's why I'm doing these videos, because what I'm figuring is that you'll find out that all this kind of stuff, yeah, you can do it. It's not rocket science by a long way, but it takes time, it takes effort, it takes knowledge. And I'm giving you everything you need to know, but if you need to know more or want help with it, I'm hoping, and I know the figures will turn that way, that you'll come my direction. If you do the same to your customers, you can literally turn them around, and you'll go from a handful of customers to actually more customers who are spending more money, which is pretty much the dream of all of us. So start educating, put yourself some time aside, put up easy YouTube videos like this, or articles on your site, or a mixture of both. I might turn this into a podcast as well if I can remember how to take out the MP3 track. Then I'll put it on iTunes. Haven't done that yet, but it's on the to-do list, which is tremendously long, but we won't go there. And you could do that, and you can turn it into an article. You do all three. So very easy to do, and well worth doing, because the more you educate your customers, the more you're on their side. You're not a salesman any longer. You're not the guy or lady trying to sell them something they didn't want. You're helping them make an informed decision, and that in today's, we don't trust many people nowadays. We don't trust politicians, we don't trust the press, and we don't really trust advertisers. So if you can become something other than an advertiser, that's going to be in your favour. So if you want to buy it, the link below will go to the utility book. It's in the States as well, but well worth a read, and not just read but implement.